On today's show, Cooper Flagg has one thing that'll make him an unbustable prospect. We'll talk about that and defend our takes today on Locked On Mavs. Stop it! Stop! The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs. Great, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave you.
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years. Thanks for being an everyday, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets on your first $5 bet wins. And joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside me, the Take Titan, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Take off Thursday, baby. I'm ready. This is what First Take does every day.
Take it off.
Wait, we playing shirts and skins?
Take off.
You drop a take, you take an article of clothing off? Is this the type of show we're doing here?
I like
It's
that.
the summer. We got to get viewers.
They're really desperate for topics.
These guys don't know what they're talking about anymore. And as always, the post-game prodigy from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. It's a three-man weave. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Is this coming out tonight?
Yeah.
12 hours from now, I'll be out of my cast.
Oh, let's go.
Or at least I hope so.
Slightly healthy. He's slightly healthy again.
Slightly is the right word. I'm getting there.
Slightly.
Today's episode, we're going to play Take Off Thursday, like Isaac said, where we're going to go around. Each of us is going to present a take, and we'll have to defend it to the other people and see what we think about it. And so, Slightly share one. Isaac's got one. And I'm going to start off, boys.
Oh, start us off.
My take is Cooper Flagg's mentality makes him impossible to bust. His mentality specifically is going to make it impossible for him to be a bust of a player. Because I was reading this article from Keith Smith on Spotrac, great stuff over there, and he talked to a bunch of executives, scouts, different people that work with teams and stuff like that. And there was a story in there that really stood out to me. It's just another one of these stories that we're going to hear a ton like this, and I love them. Every single one of them. Feed them to me. Inject it into my veins. This is from a Mavericks front office executive. Since we selected Cooper Flagg, he's been everything we thought he'd be on and even more. Tremendous kid on and off the court. Here's a good story for you. He shot like crap in the first game here in Summer League. Second game, he dominated. We had a plan to play only 2 games. Cooper comes to us and the coaches and asks to play a third game. We laughed and told him, no, you're good. And he goes, I just don't want people to think the good game was a fluke. All we could do was laugh, but it shows how much he wants to be great, a Mavericks front office executive had. To me, I look at that, see the mentality of I'm out here to dominate and to show that it wasn't that I'm not just some kind of fluke, that I'm not going to be a bust, that I'm going to be out here and actually be what I'm about, be the number one pick and live up to that hype. And I think that mentality, his athletic ability, his size, his ability is one thing. To me, that mentality is what takes you from a good player or just an NBA player to like a really good, great player.
Yeah. Does Cooper care more about public perception? Coming up next.
If I was going to go real Skip Bayless on it, I would take that. I was like, is the pressure already getting to Cooper Flagg that he's forcing Summer League games?
I will say I'm glad you added the last part because I was gonna have fun with it and say, all right, if Cooper was 5'2" and he had this mentality, I still don't know if that would be enough. But no, I love this. You sent it to me earlier today, and I was reading through the quotes, and that was obviously the one that stood out to me. And they were going against Con and Charlotte in that third game, so I'm sure he wanted to do that. But just the fact that this isn't something that you heard in a press conference or like Cooper said himself in a media session or something. This was like, I believe. Yeah, it's not performative. Like this is like just a random person telling somebody about it. Like you don't make something like this up. And so I think I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if it sounds good to hear that for sure. I would say I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to be an incredible NBA player. I think you're just tempting fate when you throw out certain terms and unbustable, especially for a first overall pick. There's a high standard. Like Andrew Wiggins has made an all-star game. Would you consider him like a uber successful first overall pick? Probably not.
Or a complete bust? Like, I don't know if he's a complete bust.
I wouldn't go complete bust because you have complete bust first overall picks. Like DeAndre Ayton's a good one. Fine NBA player, sure. A bust, yes, he's a bust.
Got a max contract.
Yeah, he did. He completed his number one career goal in doing so. But
how do you get to bust status? Obviously, like Anthony Bennett for sure.
goal.
Greg Oden.
Well, you have those busts, but I think like if you're the number one overall pick, and it has to be context. Like if Reece Shea has a Ayton-like career where he gets paid, maybe doesn't make an all-star game, and is just like a fine player. I think in the context of that draft, I don't think that's that bad. But in the context of a 2018 draft, I'd call Ayton a bust 100%. You have MVP candidates in the draft.
Yeah, you compare him to Luka. You compare him to some of the other, like even Trae Young in that draft.
Jaren Jackson, dude. Like all of these guys are better.
And then the Greg Oden one, obviously his injuries, but you compare that to Kevin Durant, and you're like, yeah, this is one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, and to Slally's points, like when you're one of those type of prospects too, there's just different expectations. Like if we're going to have all the conversations of, well, he's the best since Zion and Anthony Davis and Wemby, and it's like those type of number one picks, then yeah, I mean what is a bust for Cooper Flagg in his career? It's a couple All-Star games, but no finals appearances, a bust. Yeah, I just think when the level that he's going into the NBA at, like you have to. This is multiple All-Stars, All NBAs. You're helping carrying a team to a finals eventually.
Oh, okay. So I have a question to piggyback off this because this was one of the common, I guess, pushbacks against Flagg. Even though when people would describe this, I'd be like, I mean, that still sounds great to me. It would be this like elite, do it all number two, who you could plug in and he'd be like a perfect number two guy for a championship. Would that be considered if that ended up being his career? Where he was kind of like, I say Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is like a number two, but I think Anthony, like if he turned into Pippen, sure. Is that, or like a Siakam? I think Siakam is maybe the better route. That type of player where he's top 30, he's making All-Stars, All NBAs. You don't think that's a bust?
If you help a team, if you're like the clear-cut number two, you get a ring and you're making All-Star like games, then I don't think that's a bust.
I agree. Because I saw people say that, and I'm like, that doesn't, like people who are not anti-Flagg, but less bullish on him. Like he's like a Siakam. I'm like, that sounds great to me. I mean, that's a great NBA player.
Yeah, and a lot of that's due to context too. It's like if Dallas trades for somebody that is clearly like the alpha, it's gonna have a ton of points and all this stuff, but Cooper's like right there with him, but his stats are lower, but he is that like Kawhi, Pippen, that type of guy, then I don't think I would like hold it against him.
Yeah.
If he never makes an All NBA team, is he a bust?
Does he win a ring?
No.
So just some All-Stars, but no.
Some All-Stars, really good player, hanging around for a while.
No All-NBAs and no titles.
All-NBAs, no titles.
I think that's disappointing for his level of prospect.
I wouldn't say bust, but I'd say disappointing. Yeah.
The bar is high for him. The bar is definitely high for him, and it should be. He's that good of a player.
Well, especially, I mean, heck, they talk every year about expanding the All-Star teams, which is stupid. And it's like they're just handing out All-Stars left and right. So the All-Star appearances might diminish at some point.
The All-Star participation game.
Yeah, kind of like the play-in.
Is there a scenario where we know Cooper Flagg could be a bust in year one? Like year one is done. Do you think we know after 1 year?
I mean, there's some like efficiency things where it's just like historically, if guys are that bad, they don't usually develop, or at least that's a telling sign. But he's so young. I mean, isn't he the youngest? Wouldn't he be the youngest player in the NBA?
Yeah.
So
18,
that's kind of tough to write a guy off. Like he'll be 2 years younger starting the season than like the Thompson twins were when they started.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think there's a world in which you could say bust. I mean, unless it's some like catastrophic injury or something, but it's like his feel for the game, how good he is defensively, and like all his maturity on the court already. I think all of that, I don't think there's like no way around, like you're getting that. I think the only thing that is a like question mark is, can he like create a shot and like all that stuff at a high efficient level? And even if he like really struggled this year with it, I think there would be so much there of like, dude, he's in all the right spots. He knows what he's doing. Like, look at him defensively too. Yeah, he averaged 14 a game or like 12 a game or something, but still that's going to go up. There were signs. He's just such an all-around prospect, but I don't think there's any world in which after year one, anyone could declare him a bust.
And then there's like the Ben Simmons example where he makes an all-NBA team, makes a couple all-defense, rookie of the year, and then now he's like fighting for a minimum contract somewhere. Like, there is not like
Simmons sweepstakes. Are you keeping up?
There's not a cookie cutter like first like number one overall pick guy out there.
We doing odds in the break for what team?
For which team Ben Simmons is going to go to?
Yeah.
Coming up, I'll tell you which team Ben Simmons is going to go to that will shake and shape the NBA.
Well, that was my hot take.
Coming up, Isaac's got his take about how this new CBA might actually be good in some ways. Talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by, speaking of odds, FanDuel. We've got all kinds of great things at FanDuel, and they have so many things. They do not have Ben Simmons, actually. I don't think they have Ben Simmons odds over there. It's a real outfit. They don't put odds for things that you can't really. NBA Finals MVP, they already have up. SGA plus 260, Jokic plus 900, Donovan Mitchell plus 1,000, Jalen Brunson plus 1,000, KD plus 1,500. Where do we get to our first Maverick? Anthony Davis plus 7,500. He's the same as Kyrie, above Victor Wembanyama, above Desmond Bane, below Fred VanVleet.
Same as Kyrie for MVP?
For Finals MVP, plus 7,500 for both of them. James Harden plus 5,500. I can't see a world. James Harden makes the NBA fun. But hey, go check out FanDuel. Great stuff all the time. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Please gamble responsibly.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, you listening each and every day. We call you the Raccoon Squad. Got all kinds of great stuff for this show planned throughout the whole summer. We're going to do a fantasy draft tomorrow, the three of us. We're running back the three-man weave tomorrow, so we'll do that. But right now, we're doing Takeoff Thursday, where each of us present a take. I presented mine about Cooper Flagg. I think his mentality makes it impossible for him to bust. Isaac, take it away.
Yeah, let me ISO out just for a second. I've been working on this take for a bit, and I feel pretty confident about it. So I think the second apron's actually good. And I know it gets crapped on a lot. I get it. And I see, like, I listen to Bill Simmons. I've listened to him forever, the Podfather. And he's been dumping on it so much. A lot of the Ringer guys for the past year or so. And I just think what it brings, I do think it's kind of funny that Bill hates it because, it forced the Boston Celtics to like break up their whole thing. But I am a big guy when it comes to like parody. I do like the parody side of it. When you look at the past 7 years, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It lines up exactly 7 different champions over the last 7 years. Now I get it. Second apron hasn't been installed for the whole 7 years of that, but about half of that, or 3 or 4 years ago, you look at that and you even look at the teams who lost in the finals over the last 7 years, 11 fan bases got to experience their team in the finals. I love that. I think that's awesome. Is it good for like markets and ratings and money for the league and all that stuff? Maybe not. But is it cool for fans to be able to look at different teams in especially small markets and see like the Pacers or to see Denver or to see the Bucks or Raptors and be like, dude, I got to see my team in the finals over the last 7 years. So, and the thing that I don't get is when people make the argument against the second apron. It's like, well, this is unfair to teams that they have to break up their team over money. Well, at some point you got to make a choice. Like, it's unfair that you got to make choices with your roster. Like, there are ways. Like, it is already $50 million, the second apron, over the salary cap, like floor there, like not floor, but where they're setting it at. And it's like, you have it. You can already go over it. So I just don't like, if you have to make a decision on how you're going to like construct your roster, I don't think that's like a bad thing. Like, you can choose different routes. Like, you could choose a top heavy roster and have like, hey, I'm going to go with 2 superstar guys. And then you know what? You're going to prioritize the draft, prioritize and try to find the good value signings in the offseason. Or you could prioritize depth and say, you know what? I'm going to choose depth, but then I got to let go of that third or fourth guy on my team and say, you know, I got to trade you and you got to go somewhere else. You can still have a generational star for your fan base to attach to. A lot of times you can have two massive stars if you choose to, and you choose to give up some depth and to say like, hey, I want Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum for their entire careers. Well, you got to choose that. And a lot of times it comes down to that 3 through 5 guys that the team's got to break up and let go. You got to say, here you go. Bye. And I just don't like, you still got room for like the random role players too, the Nick Collisons of the world that the fan bases can attach to and all this stuff. All of that. When you look at this, I ran across this stat. 14 of the last 18 champions in the NBA paid the luxury tax. Like 14 of the last 18. And then came across this. Well, it was a quote in this article in Sportico, and it says, if you want to win an NBA championship, you have to be in the upper tile of spending. You go back to 2022, the last year before the second apron hit, the Warriors payroll was $346 million. $346 million. That's 3 times more than the official salary cap that season. That's the year they won the title. Not every team has that luxury. Not every owner of small markets can do that, nor do they want to do that. So not the luxury tax stuff doesn't matter to a Steve Ballmer of the world or Joe Lacobs of the world in Golden State. They showed that. They don't care about that. They'll just pay the tax and pay $346 million. So I think it's good. I think it's good overall that teams have to look at it and say, you know what? Yeah, we got to make some decisions on how we're going to build our team. The only 2 counters that for me is, one, I don't like that teams who draft really well and stack up draft picks are like punished. I don't like that. I do wish there was some type of way to where their contracts, it was a lesser percentage of the cap somehow, to where if you lined up, you know, hey, we drafted really well, so why do we have to let go of the third guy that we drafted really well and they're hitting like an OKC or something like that? And then the other one is, I think it's hard to explain for fans. I think for the average fan, it's just so hard to like understand all the rules. And I think you got to make things simple for fans. So, but overall, I think it's a good thing. I like the parity in the league, and cool. Teams got to make decisions when it comes to how they're going to build a roster.
I would say of those 11 teams, I guess my question would be, how many of those fan bases still feel like they have a chance to go back to the finals? Because if you isolate it, it's like going back, 7 years? I mean,
yeah,
you know, like 2019 is so long ago in NBA years. But even recently, It's like, you know, the Nuggets who won a few years ago, yeah. The Mavericks, probably not, but that's for other reasons. The Celtics, almost certainly not. The Pacers, probably not, but that's because of injuries. That's because of injuries, of course. But even at the Celtics, like if Tatum was healthy and they decided, all right, we got to trade Drew and KP. If they did all the stuff they did anyways, even with Tatum, they're not. I don't think they're like a real legit championship contender. And I do wonder how much of that is just over the course of NBA history that happens, where your teams just break up over time, guys go on to different places, or because I agree, I like the parity, and I think from just a general NBA perspective, it's probably a little bit better, and for the small markets, it's a little bit better. But I think the fact that it's been 7 in a row and there's been so many finals teams is a little bit crazy to me. And I do think there's some value in there being dynasties. Like it's good for the league.
Yeah, that was my number one thing I actually wrote down. I didn't say it. Is dynasty or are dynasties good?
In the moment, I don't think they are. But looking back on them, I think they always are almost positive.
We've kind of in a way shifted from like villain teams or organizations to just villain players.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's probably a lot of people, like we grew up and it's like we were coming out of the Bulls dynasty. And then since, when we were, kids, teenagers and all that, it was like, all right, we had a span of, the Lakers had a span of the Spurs there. And it's like you could bunch together like 4 or 5 teams and like, this is pretty much the only teams we saw win a title in these years. But they also became a lot of villains too. Like I hated the Lakers, right? I hated the Lakers when they were winning those titles with Kobe and Shaq. So I don't know. Nick? Sorry.
I think that it exacerbated the stars changing teams thing because it's so hard for a team to like retool around somebody once they get some pieces set. And I think that has caused some of the parity, and it is hard to follow some teams. So you don't get the perennial this player's on this team all the time. You have the the Steph Currys, you have guys like that, but and Giannis, I guess. But even look at what happened with Giannis. Like his team gets too old, and yeah, they didn't nail all their pieces, but now all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, is our next move just to trade Giannis? Is that like the best thing we can do for our franchise? And the fact that you have to consider that because like you had a couple of things go bad, Chris Middleton.
I was gonna say, is the cap making that happen though? Like the second apron?
You had some extenuating circumstances. You get a little old. Chris Middleton's not as good as he was because of injuries. They didn't hit on a couple of moves, and then now all of a sudden you're like, now we have to move on. And I think it shortens every single run that a team goes on. We just saw this with the Celtics. Now Tatum's injury affected that too, but the Celtics literally gotten 2 runs. They basically only got 2 runs, and one of them ended in a Tatum injury.
Yeah, I mean, and not to go back to Bill, but like every time Bill talks about it, it's like, dude, the Celtics shouldn't be punished for making some like solid some really good signings and drafting well. It's like,
well, they drafted well twice. They drafted Tatum and Brown, and then everybody else they've kind of brought in through different ways.
It's like, yeah, you had like 5 people on your team making over like $25 million or something. It's like, it's crazy.
And who somebody said this recently, but if you win a title, you get paid. I think it was Caruso. Caruso was on Dan Patrick recently, and he was like, everybody that's on a title team eventually gets paid. Like you're buying in so that eventually you get paid. And it happens all the time where guys just get paid off of a title team and then they move on, and that happens. That happened even before the second apron.
Like if Nembhard was a free agent,
makes all the timelines shorter.
Yeah, well, it's like if Nembhard was a free agent going into this summer, coming off this, or Turner. It's like, all right, at some point you can't afford everyone. So it comes down to, does that guy if he wants to get paid like he should, then all right. And this is where the parity comes in. Then he's going to have to, Nembhard would have to call up or go to a Brooklyn for $30 million a year. And, Indiana would lose their third or fourth guy. And some people are like, that's not fair. But also at the same time, I look at him and be like, well, now Brooklyn's getting better. Like they got a guy like that, and that guy's getting paid. And I don't know.
Is Brooklyn getting better?
I'm saying if they got Nembhard.
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
I'd say, and people aren't going to like this, but it's the truth. The Thunder will be a perfect case study of this, because if they feel like we cannot build a team under these constraints, regardless, despite all of the things that we have done to prepare ourselves for it, it is still next to impossible for us to build a team. That's where I think you'll start to have problems, because it's like they did everything. They did everything correct. They built
draft picks. They've gotten guys on good contracts, young guys.
Will people throw a fit though if like they start like next offseason? Hey, we're dumping Dort.
Because people hate the Thunder. But I'm saying, are you saying like Thunder fans would?
I think teams would look at that and say they did everything pretty much perfect. If you're a team, you basically only have like 1 to 2 year window to build up to. You're building up everything you're building up to. You get basically 1 or 2 shots with your star players at their peak and their prime, ready to go, paid whatever they're getting paid. The role players you can afford, and then maybe some young players, and hopefully you have some young players that take off because you need those cheaper contracts.
That's the thing. It's like, man, they did think perfect with the draft, but it's like, all right, well, you gave Hartenstein a big contract. You traded for Caruso. Like, you have some of these other guys that you brought vets in that was awesome, great moves. But, yeah, you got to make decisions where you can't afford a Hartenstein for $28 million a year or whatever it is. So I just don't think that's bad. And I feel like overall, the second apron majority opinion about it is, hey, this is restricting. It's not fair. It's a hard cap. This is dumb, stupid. We hate it. And I'm kind of like, I kind of like it.
I'd much rather have this than baseball.
Yeah. You have to have a cap. You have to have something resembling a hard cap in basketball, or else it wouldn't even be worth watching the sport. It looked like European soccer. Like, that's just the European football. It would. Everyone would be in LA or Miami. Like, it would just be a waste of everyone's time.
Coming up, Slightly has a take. None of us know what it is. Could be anything.
I don't even know what it is yet.
Stay tuned for Slightly to say literally anything in 6 seconds. Coming up.
I have to apologize that you felt that he should have played more.
Thanks for hanging out with us in Locked On Mavs. We'll be here all week talking about your Mavs. Isaac just did a take that the second apron is actually good. I talked about Cooper Flagg. His mentality makes it impossible for him to be a bust. And now slightly biased, takes the floor.
So my take, I just think with how rapidly Dallas is growing, that there needs to be added investment into public transit. No, I'm just kidding.
He's going to the trains. But he's doing his trains right.
I thought he was saying his second franche. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, let's do it. No,
the Cowboys need another team in Dallas that could support both.
Honestly, yeah, put one in Plano. But
put it back in Irving.
Yeah.
I heard they're going to build a stadium there soon.
That's true. Maybe a casino. But my take is wanting the Mavericks to rebuild and do poorly this season so they can get a high draft pick, to me, is an absolutely idiotic stance to have. And I'm ready to stand on it and defend it. I think it's so stupid. I think you've already accomplished what every rebuilding team wants to do accidentally. Like, you got your young franchise cornerstone. That's number one.
Wait, you don't see the vision?
Yeah, they don't see the vision.
They don't see the vision.
I see the vision.
Fortune favors the bold. It wasn't accidental.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm saying the Wizards, the Jazz, these teams that have had horrible by the Hornets, these teams that have not gotten that pick, they've tanked for years in hopes of getting something like this. You got it. And I just don't, this idea of just blowing it up and rebuilding, and maybe down the line you trade Anthony Davis, or maybe down the line you trade PJ, Kyrie, whatever the case may be. But just doing it this year, just for the hopes and dreams that you can get lucky in the lottery again next season. Because what happens if you're just like, yeah, let's just be bad next year, and then you get the 9th overall pick, and it's supposed to be a loaded draft class, but even in like historically loaded draft classes, guys in the top 10 don't pan out or aren't that good. Then you go 5 years without control of your pick. Then what? Like, what is your plan from then on out? That's the part that I don't understand in all of this. And then when I see people who are just like, this team should be bad, I'm rooting for this team to be bad. Like, there was a poll that was going around that was, would you rather the Mavs make it to the conference finals and lose, I guess? Make it to conference finals or miss the playoffs and Nico Harrison gets fired. And that was the result that got the most. And it's because Nico gets fired.
Nico's
like, I get it's Nico's name in it. But I thought to myself, why on earth would you want that if you're still rooting for the team, presumably? Because everything that goes into the Mavs making the conference finals is that means Cooper Flagg's incredible immediately. That means AD's healthy and is good and is awesome. That means Kyrie comes back and is awesome. Those things set you up way better in the future than missing the playoffs entirely, which would mean AD's probably hurt. Kyrie doesn't come back at all or comes back and isn't very good. Flagg maybe underwhelms a tiny bit. Like, all of those things go into that. So I don't understand wanting that, because that makes no sense to me. You're set up better for the future if this team tries to win right now, because it's better for Flagg. It would, if you're a pro trade AD guy, it would boost his trade value, like whatever the case may be. So I just think this idea of them like blowing it up, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't understand it. I don't understand the positives of it.
I did a show on this that I said that I think that was their best path forward, because of the conversation we just had about the second apron. Your window is so short that you go for it. They're basically going for it right now, right?
Wait. You think they should blow it up right now?
I think that would be the best. I think that would be the best move for this team, franchise-wise. They're not going to do it, and if they're keeping Anthony Davis and Kyrie, and so I'm like, all right, well, if they're going to do that, then there's no reason to. Then what are you? You're not blowing up anything. But to get something sustainable with Cooper Flagg, because if you don't do that, think about the next couple of years. You have Anthony Davis and Kyrie for like the next 2 to 3 years that are still going to be viable, and then at the end of probably at the end of 2 years from now, I don't think their trade value is going to be that great. Definitely 3 years from now.
Slightly.
And so then you're like, all right, now we have these aging stars. Do we pay them some more? Do we bring them back? Do we try and move on? And you didn't get assets for them. You don't have control of your picks, like you said. And so then how are you recouping those assets and getting another young player, a Chet, a Jalen Williams, a Cason Wallace? Like, how are you getting those type of players to build something sustainable around Cooper Flagg? And so that was my take with it, is that in order to build something 4 or 5 years from now, these next couple of years, you need to be able to build some assets in order to start going when Cooper Flagg is ready to win now, like at a high level.
The only thing that just is an immediate non-starter for me is the fact that following this year, and we've seen it, like we just saw it play out, the way that the new lottery rules are, you could lose 60 plus games and get the 5th overall pick. Like, it happens. So let's just say that I don't think there's any scenario, well, knock on wood, where this team is like a bottom 4 team. Like, I just don't think there's a scenario where that ever happens.
I would believe anything about this Mavs team at any point in time.
know,
I
but
mean,
No,
you last 2 years.
I'm with you.
You look at the Nets, Jazz. It's just like, I don't know how that would even have to like the scenarios would have to be insane.
I think it's less about tanking and more about getting assets for guys that are good right now.
Right, but
in Kyrie.
You
and
think
AD.
Anthony Davis after the retina is getting all like the best
Well,
value
he
right now?
sees the vision now. He got it fixed.
I don't think he
I'm
can.
gonna be brutally honest. I don't think Kyrie's fetching huge returns. I just don't. I just think, especially off the ACL.
So you think we're past that scenario? Like we're already past the point of no return on getting good stuff for those two guys.
Well, AD probably, but then you'd have to factor in. It's like, okay, what team's trading for AD, and what picks am I getting for AD? Is this no, like the Hornets aren't like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just get AD. The Nets aren't gonna be like, let's get AD and we'll trade you all of our picks. It'll be a team like the Rockets. It'd be a team like the Spurs, who would be presumably really good for the next 3 or so years, right? So you're getting, and I get just the having the dart throw and stuff like that, but for me personally, I'd rather have Flagg get the experience of playing alongside AD and being on a competitive team immediately and a team that might make the playoffs versus just because, in my opinion, if you do that, you're banking on this next draft pick being good. That would be the big bank, because otherwise you're hoping for other teams being bad because you don't even have control of your own picks.
Yeah. I'm with you on the playoff experience. That is a real big thing that I think is a positive for the direction they're going right now.
I think the moment you made the Luka trade, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to win. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
You being Nico or you being like the Mavericks?
Everything. Like, I think the fan base has been in a fragile spot the past 6 months, and to say, hey, we're just going to flat out rebuild. I get that Cooper Flagg has brought a renewed excitement to a lot of the fans, 100%, and it should. But also, like, to look at everybody and like, hey, now we're just going to dump the guy that we traded for Luka, and I don't know. And after everything is said, like, one, it's just not going to happen because as long as Nico's there, it just will never happen. If they let go of Nico this offseason or like, a month ago or something, I think everything's on the table then. But like, they've committed to like, we're going to win now. And honestly, as long as everybody's in place and there's a lot of win now guys on this team, that even if you're like, hey, well, yeah, I think we should just try to be bad. I mean, you really just going to sit here and dump everybody? AD, Clay, like just go down the roster. And it's just like, all right, it's only Cooper, Lively. And so I think you go for it. I think you've committed to Kyrie. You've already given him a contract and everything too. So I don't think there's any world. I think my question that I think we even debated a while back, but my question I would throw maybe at the slightly is, at what point in the season and where would they have to be in the standings would you be like, all right, let's close up shop at this point? Like if it's, we're looking at like March and we're past the trade deadline and they're at like 9th or 10th and they come out and say, hey, Kyrie's not going to come back. He's shooting for like the play-in or first round, but it's not even 100%. And AD's had a couple of injuries throughout the year, but he's playing in March. They're good to go. And they're in the 9th or 10th spot. I feel like there's going to be a debate between the fans at that point of shut it down, let's go home, or fight for it.
There was
Yeah,
last year.
And that was like, I was getting into Twitter arguments over this. That was one of the things I was saying. If the polls said make the play-in tournament or whatever, or miss the playoffs in a year, that's a different conversation where it's like, yeah, how much is like getting just completely and totally stomped against OKC in round one versus missing the playoffs and the lottery and all of that stuff. I guess it'd have to depend to me, but so for me, like last year was like, shut it down. Let's not make the playoffs because you get the chance of getting in the lottery and getting up and getting a guy. Then you got the guy. And now that guy is the centerpiece of your franchise moving forward. So for me, his development matters more than they think. Because look, you had a 1.8% chance. That's not happening again. Okay, you just cannot bank on that happening again.
Deals with the devil only happen once.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a miracle if it happened again. So
I think the other thing going into favor of your argument is that Flagg and Lively specifically, there's nothing holding them back from development. They're going to get time.
Yeah.
If there were some guys, like there's some older guys holding them back from getting minutes and development, then I think it would be a better conversation, because then you're like wasting their time almost because you're not developing those guys in order to take over the next era of Mavs basketball. Those guys are already going to play because they're already that good. So yeah, I think you got some points. for sure.
I just think not having control of your picks for 5 years takes that off the table entirely for me. You don't see any team doing it. Like you look around and like the Kings were hanging on for dear life. The Suns, even the Bucks. I think a big reason. I honestly think if the Bucks had access to their picks, I think Giannis is probably on a new team.
Yeah,
like that's a lot to say. But if you're the Bucks, it's like we trade Giannis and then what? We're terrible for 5 years and we don't even have our picks.
Yeah.
Like what am I telling my fan base there?
Yeah.
So that's just
And
for me.
For me, it's they're already too far down the line.
Yeah.
I think you've committed in multiple ways already to win now that I think it'd just be really hard to reverse course. So I think you've already committed to it for the next couple of years and stay the course.
Coming up tomorrow, we're going to draft the Texas teams. We're going to draft the best players from out of the 3 teams in Texas. Who is the best team in Texas? What are the best players in Texas? We're going to talk all about that tomorrow. It should be fun with the 3 of us running it back. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.
Lightning strikes twice.